Well, I don't know if anybody has seen this. This picture has been floating around social media. Apparently, it was posted right after the finale. This is Leslie Headland's wife. She plays the green Jedi with the lightsaber whip, Venestra. And she said this: "Listen, guys, she was doing the best she could under the circumstances." The best she could, like lying to the High Council. And she's gonna make this right, hinting heavily that there will be an Acolyte season 2. And I gotta tell you, the information that we have in this article that I'm about to go over is amazing. It is amazing. You trust me. It is amazing. It's not what you think, but here we go. Are you guys ready for season 2? I know my YouTube channel is ready. And speaking of which, if you could do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button. It's a free thing that you could do to help out the channel. I know I keep begging. I'm almost at 100K. Listen, if this video gets me to 100K, I'm done. No more Acolyte, all right? That's a guarantee, okay? So if you don't want to see any more Acolyte videos, because I still got 4 left in the chamber. We got to do the viewership. We got to do the dumbest moments. But this just happened to pop up, so I figured we go over the Acolyte Season 2. Let's get into this. Star Wars needs to commit to the Acolyte Season 2 immediately. And before you click off this video, I'm telling you, I believe most of you will agree with maybe 75, maybe 80% of what is said in this article. It's fascinating, so I hope you stay with me, because there is a crazy thing happening. The media is trashing the final episode of The Acolyte, and that's a video for another day. Basically saying, you gave us so many questions and you never answered a thing. You didn't tie up the series. We don't know what's going on. You just made a show about nothing that leads nowhere. And so people are like, why did you even make this show? It seems like you were already anticipating a second season with that type of ending. And this article kind of goes through some of the things that all of us have been saying about the direction of Lucasfilm. Season 1 of The Acolyte has been strange. The production values are great, the performance is excellent, and the action freaking awesome. Okay, I disagree with all that. But now that the finale has aired, the response is pretty negative across the board because it doesn't really add up. In other words, we don't really know what's actually going on in the series. We watched a bunch of stuff happen, and it was cool to see, but it's impossible to know what any of it means because we don't have enough information. I don't know if it was cool to see, but I agree completely. There was a bunch of stuff that happened. A lot of lore breaking, I guess, a lot of bad writing, a lot of bad acting, and we were just sitting there like, what are they thinking? Why are they doing this? And we don't understand what's going on. In that sense, The Acolyte is a show that requires a second season, or else it'll end up as an utterly pointless and massively expensive streaming paperweight. Well, I think it's going to be that regardless of what you do. Whether it deserves another season based on ratings or quality is a separate discussion and not really relevant. I think it's pretty relevant. I think it's pretty relevant if people have walked away from Star Wars and it's like, what is a season 2 actually going to do? He kind of explains, remember, I said 75% of the article. This is his logic as to why it deserves a second season, why Lucasfilm has to do a second season. Right here, he's like, it's about trust. Disney just desperately needs to demonstrate some follow-through, something it hasn't shown much within Star Wars or Marvel in recent years. Look at the company's track record with Star Wars. The Force Awakens was a huge success when it was released and was really well liked. And Rogue One got a similar acclaim a year later. It says, then things got dicey. The Last Jedi proved extremely divisive, and then nobody at all seemed to like Solo, which was an outright bomb at the box office. Solo lost money. Or The Rise of Skywalker, which garnered the worst review percentage ever for a live-action Star Wars. The live-action Star Wars TV verse took it from there. And it's been terrible as often as it's been good, because it also gave us Andor. So the author of this article did not want to put Andor in what he's about to say. It's the most loved Star Wars series that nobody watched. And he just goes on to say, yeah, we had a good story, Andor this, Andor this, Andor that. Andor aside, we get it, buddy. We get it. You love Andor, and it's not in this whole thing that you're going to talk about. The problem with the Star Wars situation is the same one that Disney is dealing with in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It started many new story threads and left them dangling, and has followed up on very few of them, instead chasing its audience's whims in circles whenever it can. Yeah, because terrible storytelling, man. They don't know how to finish, they don't know how to start, and they don't know what to put in the middle. Basically, the Star Wars TV verse is done nothing but throw nostalgia in our face. Like, oh, look at that. Hey, there's Luke. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, hey, look at that. There's an X-Wing. Oh, my gosh. They put Dave Filoni in the show. Oh, man, there's Ahsoka in live action. Wow, that's cool. While not even creating a decent story. The Mandalorian should have closed Mandalorian Season 2. He got Baby Yoda to the Jedi. Done, finished, but they stretched it out. Same thing with Ahsoka. The entire series of Ahsoka basically swapped places with Ahsoka and Ezra. That's all they did. They took them, what was it, 8 episodes to just literally swap places. And that's it. Nothing. Left everything open and nothing really changed. The article goes on to say the sequel trilogy was at war with itself, with The Last Jedi purposely abandoning and subverting the main threads from The Force Awakens. Yeah, Rian Johnson decided to make his own standalone movie because he just didn't care what came before him, didn't care what came before that, and so on. He's just like, I'm going to be the guy that kills off Luke Skywalker, and that's what everyone's going to remember, whether they love me or hate me. And the article continues, only for the rise of Skywalker to turn around and do the same thing back at The Last Jedi. And that's right, we had dueling directors. J.J. Abrams was like, you messed up my story, man. So I'm going to mess up your story, and that's going to be the end of Star Wars. As individual movies, they're all fine. Totally disagree. They make no sense. But yeah, I get what you're trying to say. You're trying to say, yeah, these are just typically standalone films that they tried to make into a trilogy. It's a mess. All right, he goes on to say, but as a unit, they're utter nonsense. Exactly. Exactly. And that's what's going on with Star Wars. They're putting out utter nonsense. The TV version of Star Wars hasn't been any better about that. The Mandalorian morphed essentially into a new season of the Clone Wars during Season 3. Ahsoka morphed into a new season of Rebels. The actual plot of The Mandalorian, Mando protects Baby Yoda from the Imperial Hunters, is just a side plot now, and it's starting to feel like Bo-Katan from the Clone Wars is the real title character of the show. I couldn't say it better. It's exactly what they're doing. They have no creativity, so they just got to go back, and they're like, put somebody else in that they recognize, and they'll like the show. The new storylines have been sacrificed for the sake of continuing these old ones from the animated series, because that's what they think the fan base wants. And it is what some folks want, but there are other audience here too. Yeah, correct. Dave Filoni came out and said, you don't need to know Rebels to understand the Ahsoka series. I was completely lost, and my comment section was filled with people, dude, you're not going to understand the show if you don't watch Rebels. How could you not watch Rebels? How could you critique a Star Wars show without watching Rebels? And I was just like, the guy Dave told me that I didn't have to watch Rebels to enjoy the show. But obviously he just said that to hopefully get some normies to watch. The article continues, but the common issue is that the powers that be, Kathleen Kennedy, on Star Wars have always prioritized turning these shows for shallow, in-the-moment enjoyment only, at the expense of depth or substance. You could literally said they don't know what they're doing, and they just threw out a show and put Star Wars label on it. Literally what you said. And that's literally what they are doing. They go on and he says, you know, they made something that kind of looks slick and maybe has some Star Wars imagery, but it's not really Star Wars. And I couldn't agree more. So what does that have to do with the Acolyte Season 2? He goes on to say, so now, after 8 seasons of live-action Star Wars TV in the past 5 years, we need some depth. So he's saying, like, all the other shows, remember, but Andor, had 0 depth in them. I couldn't agree more. He says season 1 of The Acolyte has very little. Agreed. Since all of its mysteries remain mysteries, and we don't really know anything about what's going on. They're just dangling threads. You had to use the word threads, right? Yeah, it's the Force. Anyway, you're dangling threads all over the place. It was fun to watch. I don't know if it was fun to watch, man. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to be positive because you really want that season 2. Hey, man, my YouTube channel wants that season 2 as well. Trust me. Trust me. But he says that it's so full of holes that it can't hold any water. That's a situation that season 2 could fix by filling in the gaps and telling a complete and coherent story, and would be a huge boost for the whole Star Wars franchise if Disney allowed it to happen. And if I'm going to be honest, the only way that could remotely possibly happen is that if you bring in a whole bunch of people that have some coherency in storytelling to try to fix what we just saw and see. You got to have a whole new batch of people, man. Like the people that were there, Leslie, all them. Like, no, that ain't gonna work. And that's just me thinking out loud that maybe someone could come in and try to fix it, but I don't see it happening. There's been a serious negative effect from the franchise's shallow storytelling. You don't say. I'm glad other people are admitting it because they're just like, oh, those YouTubers' excuse is bad storytelling. It's not bad storytelling. They just don't understand. You know, they just don't understand. I'm glad someone from the media is finally admitting that the storytelling sucks. It's just shallow. It's nothing. It's like, hey, look, there's a lightsaber. Hey, there's a ship. There's some stars there. Hey, we got some Star Wars sound effects. Don't you like it? It's Star Wars. Hey, buy the action figure. Goes on to say, if Disney cancels The Acolyte, that trend will continue for another year and folks will have a harder time coming back for the next one. And Andor will continue to be seen as an exception rather than a sign of hope for the franchise. Maybe. I have to be honest, I haven't seen Andor, but people in my comment section are telling me to at least give it a try. I don't have all the answers for how Star Wars can get its crap together. Well, by one, you just got to get rid of the management, man. You just got to look at the track record and say the bar graph is heading in the wrong direction, okay? People are not watching anymore. They are tuned out. They're not buying the merch. Something's got to change. Lucasfilm as a whole is just losing money. So maybe we should just start with new leadership. That's a start. He says Lucasfilm has some big institutional problems like all big corporations do, and it takes a lot to get out of these habits. But canceling The Acolyte now will only cause new rifts because the people who spent the past 7 weeks watching and talking about this series will have wasted their time. People say that, Jay, you wasted your time. Hey, man, I don't think I did. I had a lot of laughs here. I had a lot of laughs with a lot of you. And you guys made me feel special with some of your comments. Even the people that don't like my videos, I've enjoyed them. You know, I've enjoyed your comments. And, some of them I actually took to heart. You know, the one where I think there was one comment that just says, you're just a big, mean, stupid man. And I was like, I took that to heart. So I'm gonna try to do better. Okay, I'm gonna try to do better. Just throwing that out there. He says, but renewing The Acolyte and letting the creative minds behind the series finish out the story they begun could be a spark. I don't think so. I get what he's trying to say. He's just like, people don't trust Disney. They throw stuff out there and then they forget about it because of reasons, whatever. And if The Acolyte never, ever gets a season 2, if they never get to finish it, people are going to be mad because they're like, you gave us these characters that we love. You gave us these characters and it never finished. And we don't know what happened. And Plagueis was there. And what did she say to Yoda? And what happened? And we never knew. Maybe they shouldn't have went ahead and did a series expecting a season 2, expecting it. They should have just did the series. And maybe if it went well enough, they would have got a season 2. But it seems like they wrote this and expected season 2 is going to happen. Or maybe that's going to be the big announcement at Star Wars Celebration Japan. We heard you. Season 2 is on the way. We already recorded it. It's a surprise. Hey, there you go. I doubt it. I doubt it. But they got a mess on their hands like they always do. Because just like the article said, if they don't do anything else with it, and this is the end, and that's it, and it's done, what was the point of this series? What was the point? The only thing that they could do is hire a writer to write a book or a comic series to close it out, and be if you want the end of the story, it's over here. It's a book. There you go. Enjoy. But let me know what you think. Should they just do a season 2 just because? I hope so. Do you agree with 75% of the article like I predicted, or none at all? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. This is Jay, and we will catch you next time.